Have you ever found yourself doing something and later wondered, why did I even do that? Or maybe you've realized you're constantly trying to please someone without understanding why. What if I told you this could be a sign of manipulation? Sometimes, we're so deeply immersed in certain situations that we don't realize how much someone is shaping our actions, decisions, and even our thoughts. Today, we're going to talk about 10 warning signs that show you might be being manipulated. Stick with me until the end, because understanding this could be the key to regaining control of your life. You feel guilty all the time. The first thing you need to pay attention to is how you feel when you're around this person. Do you feel like you're always in debt? That you're never doing enough? Manipulators love using guilt as a control tool. They make you believe that everything is your responsibility, that if something went wrong, it's your fault. Whether it's a romantic, friendship, or even professional relationship, the feeling is always the same. An emotional burden that never seems to disappear. Imagine this. You come home after a hard day at work, and the person starts complaining that you didn't help with something trivial, like taking out the trash. Instead of considering that you also had a tough day, the manipulator turns this into a personal attack. You never think about others, only yourself. And before you know it, you're already apologizing for something that shouldn't even be a discussion point. This constant guilt erodes your self-esteem and makes you start to believe that you're really the problem, even if you're not. Does this sound familiar to you? They isolate you from other people. Another classic sign of manipulation is isolation. Gradually, the manipulative person starts to distance you from friends, family, and anyone who might have a positive influence on your life. They do this subtly, perhaps even under the guise of protecting you. Oh, so-and-so doesn't really like you, or you should spend more time with me, only I understand you. At first, it seems like the person just wants your attention, but over time, you realize you're increasingly alone, with no one to talk to except the manipulator. The more isolated you become, the more dependent you are on the manipulative person. This puts you in a vulnerable position because without external support, your defenses fall, and the manipulation intensifies. They minimize your achievements. Another common trick of manipulators is to downplay your achievements. You work hard, give your best, but when you share your victories, they make it seem like what you accomplished isn't a big deal. You know that comment, "Oh, but anyone could do that," or "That's nothing, so-and-so achieved something way bigger." Well, that's a clear sign of manipulation. They do this because they don't want you to feel self-sufficient. The last thing a manipulator wants is for you to realize your own worth and walk away. The more you doubt yourself, the easier it is for the manipulator to maintain control. Don't fall into this trap. Your achievements matter, no matter what others say. They make you doubt your own reality. Ever been sure you said or did something, but the person insists so much that you start doubting yourself? This is called gaslighting, and it's one of the most insidious manipulation tactics. The manipulator distorts reality to the point where you no longer know what's true and what's made up. For example, you say you're going out with friends, and the person responds with something like, "You never told me that, even though you did." After several situations like this, you start questioning your own memory. And when you can't trust your own perception anymore, it becomes easy for the manipulator to take control. They keep changing the rules. With manipulators, it feels like you can never win. That's because they're always changing the rules. One minute something is acceptable, the next minute it's not anymore. If you act according to their expectations, suddenly, the expectations change. This creates an unstable environment where you're always trying to please but never succeed. For instance, imagine the person says they want you to be more communicative. So, you start opening up more, sharing your feelings. But suddenly, they say, "Now you're talking too much." This creates a cycle of frustration, where you feel like you're never good enough. And guess who benefits from this? The manipulator, of course. They use your weaknesses against you. Everyone has weaknesses, right? Something that makes us vulnerable, a little insecurity here, a fear there. Manipulators are experts at identifying these weaknesses and using them against you. If you're afraid of being abandoned, for example, they might threaten to end the relationship whenever you don't do what they want. If you're insecure about your job, they might make comments that make you even more anxious. "Oh, do you really think you can get that promotion? I'm not so sure." Over time, these little manipulations chip away at your self-confidence, and you end up doing everything you can to avoid having your weaknesses exposed. They make you feel like you have no choice. This is one of the cruelest signs. When you're being manipulated, the person makes it seem like you have no other choice but to do what they want. This can be emotional or even financial. They put you in a position where it feels like the only possible path is to follow what they say. For example, in a relationship, the person might convince you that no one else will want you, or that you depend on them financially and, therefore, can't leave. At work, the manipulative boss might suggest that if you don't go the extra mile, you'll easily be replaced. They use fear to keep you trapped, and unfortunately, it works in many cases. They reward you, but always with an agenda. Sometimes, manipulators are masters at giving that temporary feeling of relief. They reward you, but always with an ulterior motive. "Oh, I'll do this for you, but next time, you'll have to help me with that thing." They create a system of exchange where you always end up owing something. It's not genuine generosity, it's an unfair trade. Then, you find yourself trapped in a cycle of forced gratitude, always feeling like you owe something. When this happens, the relationship becomes a one-way street where you're always repaying favors that you shouldn't even have to. They create constant drama. Manipulators also love drama. They constantly create conflicts to divert attention from their own flaws and keep you focused on solving the problems they create. Suddenly, everything becomes a crisis. A message you took too long to respond to, an outing with friends you mentioned days ago, everything can be a source of stress. This is strategic because the more you worry about the dramas they create, the less time and energy you have to reflect on what's really going on in the relationship. In the end, you're so focused on putting out fires that you don't even realize you're being manipulated. They don't take responsibility. Finally, manipulators rarely, if ever, take responsibility for their actions. They always have an excuse, or better yet, they always manage to shift the blame onto you or someone else. If something goes wrong, suddenly it wasn't their fault, but yours, because you didn't understand it right, or external factors that are beyond both your control. Here's the point. This lack of responsibility creates a dynamic where you always seem to be in the wrong, and they, the victims of circumstance. It's a vicious cycle that makes you feel increasingly insecure and lost, giving the manipulator even more control. Now that you know these 10 warning signs, what do you think? Do any of these situations sound familiar to you? Manipulation is sneaky, but understanding how it works is the first step toward breaking free. So, if you recognized any of these behaviors in your life, it might be time to rethink some relationships and maybe set some clear boundaries. Remember, no one has the right to manipulate your actions or emotions. You deserve to live with freedom, autonomy, and above all, respect. If you're committed to your personal development and want to keep evolving and leveling up, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Here, I always bring practical and powerful content to help you keep growing. And if this video helped you in any way, make sure to leave a like so that more people can be impacted as well. In the description, you'll find links to books that I've carefully selected, works that can completely transform the way you think and act. It's definitely worth checking out. And don't leave just yet. Take a look at the suggested videos here on the screen. They will help you even more on your personal development journey. See you there.